All right, part 2, I'm going to walk you through how I want you to fill out the backside and what I want you to do. Okay, so we've already looked at the animation. Hopefully you'll play it a couple more times. Down here, after you've watched it through one time, pause the animation and label the lunar phases in the drawing on this worksheet and color each quadrant using map pencils. Okay, so let's do that part a little bit at a time, and I'm also going to have you do a couple of these, walk through them with me. Okay. All right. When we first start, we have a new moon. So the moon's position is right here. If the sun is over here, here's the Earth, here's the moon. Okay. I am going to go to my drawing, and I'm going to label this position for the moon, new moon. Okay. Then let's start the simulation. And I notice I quickly go from new moon to waxing crescent. And this whole area in here is considered waxing crescent until finally you get to first quarter. Okay, so go back to your drawing. This whole part of the trip, after new moon but before first quarter, is our waxing crescent phase. And on the instructions on the back, it asks you to color that quadrant red. So label it first and then color that red for me. And feel free to pause this, if you need time to write it down or color or whatever, and then just start it when you're ready to go. Okay. So then we also need to fill these boxes in as we go along. So let's go back to our simulation, and I'm going to help you fill in the first couple of boxes. So let's go back to new moon. Okay. On your box, on your worksheet, it asks, what's the angle that exists for new moon? How many days since new for this phase? What or when is the moon rising? When is the moon setting? So let me help you out with that. First of all, I can't get it exactly to 0, but basically the angle sorry about that. The angle between the sun, which is out here, the Earth, and the moon, that's basically a 0-degree angle. So that's what you would write for angle. Okay. Days since new. Okay, I haven't quite gotten this down far enough. You're going to write 0 because it is a new moon right now. Okay. And then you need to go over here, and you can kind of manipulate the little guy to see when you have the moon rising and setting. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but there's the moon over here on the horizon diagram, and the sun's there also. Okay, so they're kind of covering each other up. They're sort of one on top of the other. If you look very carefully, you can see the moon kind of overlapping the sun. What that means for you is you need to write down that the moon rises at sunrise and that the moon sets at sunset. Okay, that's true when we have a new moon. Okay, it's not always going to be true for all of the lunar phases, but for the new moon, the moon comes up with the sun, so you say that the moonrise is at sunrise, and the moon sets with the sun, so the moon sets at sunset. So that's the information that you want to put right there for that box. Okay, then let's go through the the waxing crescent, because waxing, remember, means increasing. Go back to our simulation, and let's play the simulation again. We notice that we have a waxing crescent phase in here in these angles. Okay, I'm going to stop it at first quarter. Okay, it's hard to get this perfect just because it's a simulation and you can't stop it exactly. But basically we had a new moon here at 0 degrees. We have a first quarter moon here at basically 90 degrees. So between 0 and 90 degrees is the angle that we get for waxing crescent. Okay, so on waxing crescent, for angle, you're going to put more than 0, less than 90. Okay? Or if you wanted to, this might be easier, if you wanted to just kind of give me the angle when it's halfway through that phase, that angle's about 45 degrees. Maybe that'll be easier. Okay, so let's go back here and we'll just put 45, just as long as you understand that it's not just 45, it's actually a range. Okay. Days since new, again, we'll stop at about halfway through and we'll put 3 days, 16 hours, that's about 3.5 days. Okay. All right, so here's what we've got so far. For new moon, our angle was 0. Days since new moon, because it's a new moon, it's 0. Okay, the moon rise was at sunrise. The moon set was at sunset. For waxing crescent, give me the angle that represents about midway through that phase, so about 45 degrees. Days since new, again, about halfway through that phase, would be about 3.5 days since new. And now let's look at when the moon rises and it sets during a waxing crescent. If you notice over here, we're going to watch this. Oops. Ooh, I got to slow my animation down a little bit. Hang on. It's going too fast. It'll be a little easier. Okay. If you notice over here on my horizon diagram, I am about to enter daytime. See, my sun's about to come up above the horizon. Okay, so now it's daytime. There goes the moon above the horizon. Okay. Now, notice that the sun just set, but the moon is still up. We need to know when the moon is going to set. Okay, so start the animation. Pause. Okay. The moon set, you know, this is approximate, but it's set about 9:50. All I want you to do is give me an approximate time. Approximate times would be the following. Okay, so approximate times would be things like you told me at sunrise for the time when the moon came up during new moon. You said at sunset was when the moon set for a new moon. You might say just morning. And for me, that's going to mean between sunrise and noon. Maybe it rises or sets at noon. Maybe it rises or sets in the afternoon. Okay. Maybe it rises or sets in the evening. I'll put late evening, which means for me, but and midnight. So it sets at night, but you know, the nighttime when you're still up and about. Okay. Maybe it rises or sets at midnight or close to midnight. Okay. Maybe it rises or sets early morning. And for me, that's going to mean between midnight and sunrise. Okay. I don't think I left any of them off, but it's possible. Okay, but that's what I'm asking. I don't need an exact time. I just need an approximation. So one of these words would be appropriate. Okay? So if we go back to our lunar phase simulation, during a waxing crescent phase, you notice we said that the moon set at about 9:50 p.m. Well, for us, that's going to mean late evening. That's what we're going to put for our moon set. Okay? So write that down. Okay, we're going to say late evening. Okay. If we go back and look at the lunar simulator, I'm going to crank him back, but y'all watch when the moon comes up, okay, over here. When do we get the moon to our eastern horizon? Oh, come on. Okay, so the moon is on, or the moon is rising. See, our moon was rising mid-morning. Okay, so that's why I put mid-morning for moonrise. And again, look at the horizon diagram. Okay, our moon set in late evening. So that's what I put. Okay. All right. So let's go to first quarter. Okay, we're going to play the simulation. We're going to stop it when it gets to first quarter, and we're going to take a look at what the angles and positions are. Okay, and I've slowed down the animation. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, and I'll have to slow it back down. Okay. So again, the angle between the sun, earth, and moon is approximately 90 degrees. We've had about 7 days since our last new moon. So let's go write that down real quick. Angle, this little squiggly line means approximately 90 degrees. Days since new moon, approximately 7. And let's figure out when is the moon rising and setting during a first quarter moon. So again, I want you to watch over here for when the moon comes up, because I'm going to have to crank this guy back. So let's crank him back until we see the moon coming up on our eastern horizon. Okay. It's coming up, if you notice, that's at about noon. So we're going to put that the moon rises at noon. Okay. All right, I'm going to change them again. We're going to see when the moon sets during this time period. Okay, it sets at 11:59. That's at about midnight. Okay, so go to our page. Moon rise was at noon. Moon set was at midnight. Okay. Go back to our simulation. Sorry about that, my keys keep rattling. And let's do waxing gibbous. All right, speed up my animation so that we're not sitting there all day. Okay. Oh, and I'm about to run out of time on my recording. Tell you what, tune in for part 3 and we'll do that part.